Spanish police have made a breakthrough in a murder case thanks to an unusual informant, Google Maps. A man can be seen standing over a car boot with a large white bag inside. Police believe that bag contained the missing man's body and the car was used to dispose of it.
In the province of Soria, in the remote heartland of northern Spain, there is a village called Andaluz, a cemetery, stone houses, quiet roads, the kind of place where nothing changes, the kind of place where nobody expects a murder investigation. But one image would later turn one of Spain's strangest disappearances into an international story, because investigators believe Google Street View captured something nobody was ever supposed to see. Jorge Luis Pérez Ochandarena was 32 years old, a Cuban national who had arrived in Spain in January 2023, building a new life in a country far from home. He was a large man, stocky, 120 kilograms, standing 1.75 meters. He had a presence, he had a future, and he had the kind of personal history that would, in the end, get him killed. Jorge had been married. His wife, a Cuban woman, had moved on. She was now with another man, a Spanish bar owner from the nearby village of Tahueco, a quiet settlement just a few miles from Andaluz. The locals had a nickname for him. They called him the Wolf of Tahueco. On November 7th, 2023, Jorge Luis Pérez vanished. A relative was the first to notice something was wrong. He had been receiving text messages from Jorge's phone, but something about them felt off. The messages claimed Jorge had met a woman, that he was leaving Spain, that he was getting rid of his phone and starting fresh somewhere new. To anyone who knew Jorge, it didn't add up. He had just arrived in Spain. He had been building something. He wasn't the kind of man who disappears without a word. The relative called police and reported him missing. Investigators began looking. They found nothing. No Jorge, no trail, no body. The phone messages were the only thing pointing in any direction. Then, in December 2024, investigators went back through something they hadn't fully examined. Google Street View imagery from the area around the time of Jorge's disappearance. What they found stopped them cold. The image was captured by a Google Maps car driving through the village of Tajueco in October 2023, just weeks before Jorge was reported missing. In the photograph, on a deserted road, a man is bent over the open boot of a burgundy Land Rover. He is loading something into the trunk. The object is wrapped in white plastic. It is large. It is body-shaped. A second image captured moments earlier showed a figure in similar clothing standing at the top of a nearby hill, appearing to push a wheelbarrow, possibly transporting the same bundle toward the car. The man in the images was the Wolf of Tajueco. Police immediately refocused the investigation. Wiretaps were authorized. Conversations were intercepted. What came back pointed directly at him and at Jorge's ex-wife. On November 12th, 2024, police detained them both, the Wolf of Tajueco and Jorge's Cuban ex-wife, his former partner, the woman who had once been married to him and was now with the man investigators believed had put his body in that trunk. Both were remanded into custody.
Spanish police have made a breakthrough in a murder case thanks to an unusual informant, Google Maps. When a 33-year-old Cuban national went missing in the Spanish province of Soria, police were stumped. A cousin of the man had reported him missing after receiving strange text messages telling them he had met a new woman, was planning to leave Spain and throw away his phone. Police began investigating and zeroed in on the man's former partner and her new boyfriend. A strange photo on Google Maps among the clues that led to their arrest. On the Street View feature, in a town home to just 56 people, a man can be seen standing over a car boot with a large white bag inside. Police believe that bag contained the missing man's body and the car was used to dispose of it.
Investigators turned to the land itself. Working from the Street View images and from information gathered during the investigation, they focused on the village of Andaluz and its cemetery. What they found confirmed what the photograph had already suggested. Buried in the cemetery of Andaluz was the torso of Jorge Luis Pérez. Only the torso. The rest of his remains had not been found. A man who had arrived in Spain less than a year before his disappearance, hoping for something better, had been dismembered and buried in pieces across the remote countryside of Soria province. The cause of death was never publicly confirmed. The state of his remains made a full autopsy nearly impossible. At the time of this video, the case against the two suspects is still working its way through the Spanish judicial system. No trial date has been publicly announced. Both remain in custody, facing charges related to Jorge's murder. Jorge Luis Pérez came to Spain to start over, but never had the opportunity to do so. What was supposed to be a fresh beginning became a disappearance, then an investigation, then a discovery. Rest in peace. Thank you for watching Grim Watch. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime documentaries. See you in the next video.